Hello my fellow chatterers and stat lovers and anyone else who's popped in because you're curious about what this is or you've got a bit lost. Welcome everyone. I'm Chatty. Welcome to my channel Chatty the Mad Chatter, where I'm going to be chatting very madly about the stats of the books I read in May, which yes, I know it seems a very long time ago now, but I do enjoy using my booktube channel as sort of like a diary and a record of what I read. So I'm always going to be doing wrap-ups and stats, even if they no longer feel all that relevant. So cheers everybody, it's one shot, there is no editing, I only have the power of pause, so clink clink clink. So May did not have a TBR generated by my game Book Letters and Bookworms. I wanted to focus on the Asian Readathon, which was by Reads with Cindy, and there were 5 different prompts. So this was my plan. I had read a book by an Asian author, so I had The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea by Axie O or A Reaper at the Gate by Sabaa Tahir as my options. Then reading a book which features a friendship between 2 Asian characters, and for that I had Zen Cho, The Order of the Pure Moon Reflected in Water. I then had Malia Yousafzai's We Are Displaced as prompt number 3 for a character that is focused on identity and self-discovery. And then a book, I think it's about adventure. Okay, read a book that features an Asian character going on an adventure, and for that I had Asha and the Spirit Bird. And then prompt 5, read a book about an Asian character who is either famous, eccentric, or a hot mess. And I chose The School for Good Mothers by Jasmine Chan. So that was my plan for the Asian Readathon. I also had a few other things I wanted to slot in as well. So I had The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern, which is the sort of spin the wheel members book club from Nicole from Busty Book Sniffers. And this was the fantasy choice for May, and I hadn't read it and had previously loved by Erin Morgenstern, so I wanted to read that. Still going in the Hobbalong, we are on the final book in the Rain Wild Chronicles, which was Blood of Dragons. So that is being hosted by Anita from the channel Anita Garde. So I wanted to read that. And then I suddenly kind of discovered and thought I'd try and squeeze as many middle grade in here as possible, because there was a middle grade mayhem happening, which was from 4 different booktubers. Each of them chose a theme with some prompts for each one, so you had to follow them to find the mayhem. And one of the hosts was Stormi Reads, and there were a few books that I wanted to get in for that one, or some possibilities to cover all those prompts. So I did want to read The Battle of the Labyrinth by Rick Riordan, which is the 4th book in the Percy Jackson series, Sprinkle of Sourcery by Michelle Harrison, 2nd book in the Pinch of Magic series, The Garden of Lost Secrets by A.M. Howell, because I found it at the library and it's kind of like spooky sort of mystery type of feel, which is sort of Stormi Reads vibes, so I thought that would be quite cool to read that for the readathon that she was hosting. And then The Crackle Dawn Dragon by Abby Elphinstone. Sadly, did not read any of these middle grade books, so they will not be going on this shelf. Did I read my Asian Readathon books? Let's find out. So I did read A Reaper at the Gates. Tick! I did read The School for Good Mothers. Tick! I did read Asha and the Spirit Bird. Tick! I am still reading We Are Displaced by Mayreads. Really enjoying it so far, but I haven't finished it, so I cannot count this one. So did not finish that one. I did read Zen Cho and The Order of the Pure Moon Reflected in Water, but I didn't read The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea by Axie O, which I'm really gutted about because I really, really wanted to read it. But I think I was doing that thing where I wanted to sit down and be able to immerse myself and enjoy it properly, and there just wasn't time. I think we'd kind of got to like the last sort of few days left of May, and I was like, this just isn't going to happen, is it? There's too much stuff going on. I've got buddy read commitments for June. It's not going to work. So she will be read. It's just now was not her time. So in terms of what I managed to read for the Asian Readathon, I read 4 books. So that sort of we're missing one. However, I had a roll on from May, which was, this is a stand-in because it's gone to the library, which was Lonely Castle in the Mirror. So Lonely Castle in the Mirror would fit the prompt, a character that is exploring sort of like self-identity and discovering themselves. It would definitely fit that prompt. So I did complete the Asian Readathon, and all of these books were from different places. So Zencho has Malaysian heritage, Asha and the Spirit Bird is set in India, and Jasmine Balan has Indian heritage. The School for Good Mothers, Jasmine Chan has Chinese heritage, Sabah Tahir has Pakistan heritage, and I stupidly haven't written it down. Why did I not write it down? Lonely Castle in the Mirror is by an author who is from Japan, and I'm so sorry that I have forgotten the name, but it will be in the description box. So all of them fit, so all of them completed. So these books I read, but I have 2 more to add to the pile. I have Welcome to St. Hell by Lewis Hancock, because I saw it in the library. No, I saw it on lots of people's Transgirl April were reading this, and I thought that looked really good, and I started looking in my library. My library happened to have a copy, so I went in and picked it up. Oh, I didn't finish The Night Circus, so I'm not going to be talking about Night Circus in this one. I'm still continuing with that one, and it will be wrapped up in a different video. But I have also got Sarah J. Mass's The House of Earth and Blood, which I read as one of my second chance author projects, along with Zencho's The Order of the Pure Moon Reflected in Water. So there we go. I have got for May 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 books for May. So that's great. That was my aim, to read less. However, despite reading less, I still haven't done a load of Storygraph updates. So not quite working, but I have been busy with other things. So it all balances out. It's fine. All right, let's crack on with the stats, because there is no reward or punishment for this month. Just taking it as a bit of a break month, and we will be back to normal following on from that. So stats time. I have read 5 adult books this month, and I have read 1 middle grade, which is Asha and the Spirit Bird, and I have read 1 YA, which is Welcome to St. Hell's, which means Order of the Pure Moon, School for Good Mothers, Reaper at the Gate, Blood of Dragons, and House of Earth and Blood are all adult. Lonely Castle in the Mirror is a floater. I'm not sure whether to place it in adult or YA, so I'm not sure where that would fit in. So I'm just leaving it floating like this. There's my hand is another book. Series. So again, series slightly unsure of. I have finished a series now. So this was the final book in the Realm of the Elderlings Rain Wild Chronicles series. 1 more left, which seems crazy before I finish the Realm of the Elderlings, which yeah, it does seem crazy. So yay, 1 series finished. 1 series progressed with, which is Reaper at the Gate, the 3rd book in the Ember and the Ashes series. So that is pretty awesome. I'm unsure whether or not I'm counting that I started a new series, because I have started the Crescent City series. I have read The House of Earth and Blood, but it is yet determined whether or not I am following that series as a series that I'm committing to. I don't know. So I'm just going to put a possibility next to it. I might have started a series, or I might not have done. It remains to be seen. So I read 5 novels. That's School of Good Mothers, Reaper at the Gate, Lonely Castle in the Mirror, Blood of Dragon, and Asha and the Spirit Bird. I read 1 novella, Order of the Pure Moon Reflected in Water, 1 graphic novel, Welcome to St. Hell's, and I listened to 1 audiobook, which was the House of Earth and Blood. 3 books I got from the library. House of Earth and Blood, Welcome to St. Helens, and Lonely Castle in the Mirror. 4 books are mine and I own them. Blood of Dragons, School for Good Mothers, Reaper at the Gate, and Order of the Pure Moon. And I borrowed 1 book, Asha and the Spirit Bird, from my mum. But because I had this in my home, it counted as part of my physical TBR that I needed to read for my Read What You Own challenge. So there are 4 books that count for the Read What You Own challenge. Ooh. I'm just dropping them all over the floor. Blood of Dragons doesn't count because I hauled it after the Read What You Own challenge reset. I was allowed to haul it because it was part of a book club read. That was one of my I'm allowed this book. So these 4 books count for my Read What You Own challenge. Hooray! 4 is a lot better than previously. Okay, moving on to size. I read 1 ant-sized book, Order of the Pure Moon, 2 mouse-sized books, Asha and the Spirit Bird and Welcome to St. Helens. Graphic novels I always count as mouse-sized just because they're much easier to read. The School for Good Mothers and Lonely Castle in the Mirror are both goat-sized. Realise I haven't explained what any of these sizes are. Ant size is 150 pages or less. Mouse is 151 to 300. Goat is above 300 but below 400. Reaper at the Gate is cow because it is 400 to 500 pages. So close, like literally 2 pages off. And Robin Hobb's Blood of Dragons is an elephant because it's over 500 pages but below 700 pages. And House of Earth and Blood is a blue whale because it is over 700 pages but below 900 pages. Okay. One of my goals this year is for half of what I read each month to be by global majority authors, which means anyone that is not Eurocentric and white. So I have 5 books by global majority authors out of 8. That is School for Good Mothers, Lonely Castle in the Mirror, Reaper at the Gates, Asha and the Spirit Bird, and Order of the Pure Moon Reflected in Water. But as it's Asian Readathon, I really should have done, shouldn't I? Let's face it. So yeah, 5 out of 8 hits that target, but I would have been incredibly more disappointed in myself if I had not managed it this month. I have 4 books which are fantasy books: Reaper at the Gate, Blood of the Dragon, Reaper at the Gate, Order of the Pure Moon, Blood of Dragons, House of Earth and Blood. I have 2 magical realism books, which is Asha and the Spirit Bird and Lonely Castle in the Mirror. The reason I class these as magical realism is because Lonely Castle in the Mirror, there was one aspect of it which was fantastical, and then a lot of the action also took place kind of in the world as we know it. And in Asha and the Spirit Bird, action takes place in the world as we know it, but there is kind of a spiritual element to it, and kind of gives it sort of a slight fantastical feeling. So I would say these are magical realism, but equally you could put Lonely Castle in the Mirror as fantasy, and you could put Asha and the Spirit Bird as sort of like adventure contemporary, if you wanted to. And I have 1 contemporary book, which is Welcome to St. Helens, and I have 1 dystopia, which is The School for Good Mothers. In terms of reading books about a wide range of characters and exploring kind of diversity, I have 3 books which have LGBT plus protagonists in the stories. So that is Welcome to St. Helens, Order of the Pure Moon, and Blood of Dragons. And I have, I think all 8 of these books have got have sort of like got an exploration of either grief or trauma or mental health sort of within them. So there was nothing that was kind of like explicitly explored. It was all kind of tied in with other things, so I don't feel like I can kind of separate that out. But there is all of these books definitely have one of those things within them. I would say probably Welcome to St. Helens definitely looks a lot more at sort of mental health issues within this book, and kind of as a way of what they were going through. but equally lots of characters in these books were grieving and dealing with grief in different ways, or had experienced trauma and were struggling with that. So I think definitely all of them were diverse in that respect. I've already gone through kind of the global majority, read 5 books by Asian authors, and that is it for the diversity in this one. So my least favourite this month is actually quite hard, because I did have a very enjoyable reading month, and there wasn't really a book that I can like definitely pinpoint as my least favourite. So I have like 3 possibilities, so I'll explore and see if I can pick one out. Please don't crash. So for least favourite, it's either House of Earth and Blood. It was a huge improvement on plot and character for me compared to what I'd read before, and it was a really fun time, and I did enjoy it and get some character emotions in it, but there's a lot of it that I think could have been improved on, and that definitely kind of retracted from my enjoyment of it. The School for Good Mothers, I think I really enjoyed while I enjoyed what it was exploring and I enjoyed the character, there were moments where I wasn't as engaged in the story, and it's not one that I'm probably going to reread. Reaper at the Gate, it's probably my least favourite so far in that series, but I kind of am enjoying where it might be going to pull in for the last book, and there were definitely parts of this that I did really enjoy. So it's really difficult to pull out which one was my least favourite out of the 3. I think it probably is going to be House of Earth and Blood, just because I think there was just a lot of it that that was worse than these ones, but there was like a general kind of enjoyment of it. So there we go, there's my answer. For my favourite, I have to do 2 honourable mentions. I loved Welcome to St. Hell, absolutely fantastic book, highly recommend everyone reading it. I also completely adored Order of the Pure Moon Reflected in Water, it was amazing. But my favourite book of the month has to go to Lonely Castle in the Mirror. I just thought the story was fantastic. I just completely fell in love with it, and I can't really pinpoint why. It's something to do with the characters, to do with the themes, and just the way it was pulled together, and that it surprised me and I wasn't sure where it was going, and I just felt so immersed in that story and had so much investment in those characters. So that's it. Please let me know what you enjoyed reading the most in May, if you can remember that far back now, or just tell me what you've enjoyed reading recently. It's fine, doesn't have to be May. Any thoughts on any of these books, I would love to know, because you know I love a chat. Happy reading, everyone.